So what do you think reality is then? A few minutes ago, you said people think this is the reality. What is it?
Yeah, the closest I've heard it's come to it is if you could imagine being in a small room like 10 by 10 by 10, and it was filled with tiny little bubbles that big. I mean, just filled with them. And each of those bubbles is another existence of a world or a reality. And we are consciously in our decision making, even the decisions we make, which are totally unconscious, jumping from bubble to bubble to bubble to bubble. But it's not in a continuum. They're not interconnected. We may be in this little bubble back in this right hand corner near the floor. And the one decision puts us up in the upper left corner near the ceiling in another tiny bubble. The mistake we make is it's the exchange of all the information in those bubbles by all the consciousness bouncing around in all those bubbles. It is like this holistic understanding for what reality is. We assume that everything we do that someone else does is exactly the same. That's not. And you see that in every single thing that happens with a human. But one of the most obvious and easiest for me to talk about would be observation. Witness statements are terrible.
Sure.
You can have a 3-second event in a crowded room. If there's 20 people in that room, you get 20 different stories
Mm.
in reporting it. And the reason why is we come from our our intellect is born out of different cultures, different training, different customs, different teachers, different beliefs, different. And you can go on with different till the cows come home. But we assume everybody sees, smells, tastes, feels, hears the exact same thing we did. That's a mistake. And until you start understanding that you're kind of victimizing yourself by living in a world where you think everybody thinks like you are. You're missing you're missing some stuff. I hate to tell you. And that's provable. There's observational things, tasting things, hearing. Every sense the human has can be fooled. And it can be fooled with two different people in the same room, fooled differently. So it, you've got to learn to appreciate what other people bring when they come into the room you're in and you're sharing that same bubble in that moment or in that second.
Could you be fooled in the same way in your OBE experience?
Oh, sure.
You can be.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just one more bubble set.
Oh, so
Say
it's
we assume we
mm,
assume everything's real. And I don't think anything is. I think it's our own creation. And I think there's a reason for it. The reason is we're all here to have some experience to carry forward so we have a better understanding for who and what we are. But we're not anywhere close to understanding what we as a single human life in a very finite span, what we represent.
so when
But
you leave
we may be the feeler of some collective
the feeler.
that is trying desperately to know why it is. And the only way to do that is summation of experience.
So when you finally exit your body for the last time,
Uh,
what do
you
you
just change
envision?
clothes.
What's that?
You just change clothes.
Ha.
In other words, you're the same entity. It's just that the breadth, width, height, and depth of you as an entity changes.
Are you going to explore the cosmos when you finally leave?
I don't know what I'm going to do, but the cosmos may be too small. I don't know. And the backyard might be too big. I don't know the answer to that. And you can't know the answer to that in this life, place, time, and situation. All you can do is try to make the best of what it is you are living in. And in my experience, whatever you do should produce something positive for you, and only positive action provides a reaction that's positive for you. Nothing else will. So why people insist on being negative about things and then wonder why their life's crap is beyond me. And you know,
Those are simply wise words.
yeah, it's a, you know,
Mhm.
if you really think about it, everything you do, if you think about it and you try to do the best possible thing, it's going to feed back to you. It's going to loop back. It's how we think psychic functioning, remote viewing work. The reason I know what's going to happen 110 days out is because at 110 days out, it happens to me how I report it. So that's a full loop. Now, the probabilities are that I can't predict that loop when there's more than me involved in the production of it. So it's a mix of experiences. So the things that truly work are when a single individual has a choice to make over something they don't know about, then nobody else knows it. But once they make that choice, that's the loop feedback they're going to have. So how they think about why they do things is more important than the actual doing of it.
Well,
I don't know if
that's a
that makes
great
any
force,
sense
isn't
to
it?
you or not. Huh?
That's a great force, right? Because when you're thinking,
Yeah.
you're also you're also
Creating.
imagining in a way, right?
Yeah. And you're
You're
creating
calling
the
upon
outcome.
again.
You're creating the outcome. You're
Yeah.
you're creating a scenario in which you get to have the feedback and few others will. It's almost like the best way to live a good life is to project a good life.
Hmm.